They told you to find your purpose, to unlock your potential, to become someone. But here's the twist. You already are. You're just breathing, existing, and that's criminally underrated. Everyone's out here trying to be someone, but nobody remembers how to just be. You weren't born to chase meaning like a hamster in a self-help wheel. You're not a brand. You're not a project. You're a question mark wrapped in skin, spinning through the stars, making coffee and wondering why it all feels so heavy. So today, with the help of a few minds who lit candles in the darkest rooms of existence, Nietzsche, Camus, Rilke, and the rest, we're going to ask the one question that quietly terrifies us all. What if purpose isn't real? What if it's just a beautiful myth we made up and forgot we made it? He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Nietzsche said that. Smart guy. But he didn't live in an era where your why comes in the form of a 5-step funnel course, a vision board with glitter, and a podcast telling you to monetize your morning routine. He was talking about a why born in the mud, tragic, painful, existential, the kind of why that keeps you standing when everything else falls. But today, we turned that raw need for meaning into a content strategy, into a brand. Nietzsche didn't write for influencers. He wrote for people staring into the void without flinching. And now, you invent your own purpose, then forget it was a story you told yourself just to stay afloat. Purpose isn't sacred. It's self-defense. It's our way of keeping the chaos at bay. Back when we were running from lions, meaning was survival. Now we run from the silence, from stillness, from the unbearable idea that maybe there is no grand design, no master plan, no narrative arc waiting to wrap everything up in a bow. So we make one. We chase legacy, impact, becoming someone. As if breathing wasn't already a miracle. And the worst part, once the lie feels safe, we protect it like truth. You'll measure your worth by how close you are to a finish line you drew in chalk. You'll punish yourself for not hitting milestones no one asked you to chase. That's not ambition, that's spiritual Stockholm syndrome. Man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is. Camus wrote that. We call that refusal progress. We treat exhaustion like a badge of honor. We trust the plan more than the moment. But here's the truth. You were never broken. You were just told you needed a purpose. You don't. You're allowed to be a glorious, breathing question mark. And maybe that's the point. People will believe anything rather than face the void. Pascal said that in more elegant terms, but the idea sticks. We'd rather cling to a made-up reason than admit we have no idea what we're doing here. So we build something to serve, a dream, a mission, a big fat why. It starts soft, harmless. You give your life a shape. But slowly, the shape starts giving orders. You used to hold the vision. Now it holds you. You stop adapting, you stop questioning, you just follow. The goal becomes sacred. The story becomes law. You tell yourself, I can't stop now. I've come too far, as if consistency was a virtue in itself. You feel the weight, but call it responsibility. You feel the doubt, but name it weakness. You romanticize exhaustion and call it growth. That's not purpose. It's obedience with a motivational filter slapped on top. And worship? It doesn't look like prayer anymore. It looks like checking emails at midnight. It looks like smiling through burnout because this matters. It looks like performing the story you wrote even when it doesn't fit you anymore, especially then, because you're too far in. Too many people watching, too much identity built around this thing you once loved, but now fear disappointing. That's not freedom. That's loyalty to a ghost. Camus wrote that the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence becomes an act of rebellion. So maybe quitting isn't failure. Maybe walking away from the altar isn't giving up. It's remembering that the altar was never real. You made the god. You can walk away and you won't vanish. You'll just be free. Finally free to ask, what now? But that's where the second trap kicks in. Even if you stop believing in the story, you still feel the need to perform it. Not for yourself anymore, but for the crowd that's watching. You've stopped believing in the story. You've stepped away from the altar. But there's still one chain left. The role, the image, the version of you that once inspired others, and now, quietly, imprisons you. You told the world what you were building, so now you have to look like you're still building it, even if you're exhausted, even if the foundation cracked long ago. All the world's a stage, Shakespeare wrote, but he forgot to mention that the audience never leaves. They remember your lines, they applaud your performance, and they don't like rewrites. So you keep showing up as someone you no longer are, out of loyalty, out of fear, out of habit. You smile with dead eyes. You post updates with shaky hands. You speak with conviction you no longer feel, because stepping down, that feels like failure. Worse, it feels like confusion. And confusion doesn't get likes. You're not alone. Everyone's performing. Some are just better at hiding it. You see people chasing dreams that clearly died years ago, dragging them around like sacred corpses. But they can't stop. The brand depends on it. The followers expect it. The family wouldn't understand. So they keep dancing, even when the music stopped long ago. And so do you. But here's a thought. Maybe it's not the dream that's the problem. Maybe it's the need to prove that it mattered. Maybe the role isn't toxic, but the pressure to play it well is. Maybe you don't need applause, you need air. So maybe the question isn't, what am I supposed to do with my life? Maybe the real question is, what do I want it to feel like? We're taught to chase direction, missions, titles. But what if life wasn't about where you're going, only about the air you breathe while getting there? Not the finish line, the atmosphere, not what you do, but how it feels to do it. You could build a castle and suffocate inside it, or walk through nowhere and feel wildly, silently alive. The difference isn't the plan, it's the ambiance, but no one tells you that. No teacher grades you on softness. No boss asks if your inner weather feels calm. You learn to aim higher, run faster, carry more, but no one asks, do you feel light where you are? Are you warm in your own body? Or are you dragging your nervous system through your schedule like dead weight? We've romanticized pressure and turned stress into a personality trait. We call it ambition, productivity, drive. But what if ambition without softness is just self-harm in a nice suit? What if real success isn't a position, but a presence? One where your breath isn't hijacked by panic, where your joy isn't postponed for some final arrival, where your life has enough space for silence, for slowness, for not knowing. Maybe success is waking up and realizing you don't need to outrun anything today. Maybe peace is just letting Tuesday be Tuesday. Emerson once said, happiness is not a state to arrive at, but a manner of traveling. That's it. That's the secret nobody profits from. Life isn't asking you to conquer it. It's asking you to feel it. And not just the highlights, the textures, the moods, the ordinary seconds that don't make it into photos but make up your entire life. Maybe that's the only direction that ever mattered, inwards. And maybe the gentlest ambition is this, learning to breathe where you are. You weren't born to impress. You weren't born to crush goals, dominate timelines, or unlock your full potential. You were born to breathe, to feel, to stumble and start again, to exist in a way that doesn't always look good from the outside, but feels honest from within. Somewhere along the way, we made life a performance, a test, a race. And now we wonder why we're all tired. But maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just done pretending. Maybe you're not behind, just overloaded with expectations that were never yours to carry. Maybe life isn't about becoming someone. Maybe it's about remembering that you already are. a collection of mornings and moods, a library of mistakes and quiet victories, a masterpiece that never asked to be perfect, just alive. You don't need to be extraordinary. You don't need to leave a legacy. Rest isn't something you earn. Joy doesn't need justification. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to begin again on a random Wednesday without knowing why. Rilke once wrote, "Try to love the questions themselves, not solve them, not fix them. Just love them. Let them breathe. Let you breathe." So here's the gentle truth. There is no purpose waiting for you out there. No final meaning to decode. No cosmic applause if you get it all right. There is only this: your breath, your body, your way of inhabiting the ordinary, the light through the window, the silence between words, the sound of your own heartbeat when you finally stop running. That's life, not the dream, not the goal, not the meaning, just the miracle of being here, without having to deserve it. And hey, if this resonated, maybe hit subscribe, not because you have to, just because it feels like a quiet nod across the room, like telling a friend, "Hey, I saw this and thought of you." That simple gesture that somehow says, "I get it, I'm here too. I'm not here to teach you how to live. I just want to leave a few doors open, thoughtful ones, unexpected ones, doors you can walk through when the world gets too loud or too small." And if one day one of those doors helps you breathe a little deeper, then I'll know I did something right.